and I'll ask colleagues to introduce themselves with the introductions of the people who are seated. The ones who are standing have said they are okay for today.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Alexander Renti. I'm the head of programs at the Institute for Social Accounting.
Good afternoon. My name is Annette Navima with the Kenyan Human Rights Commission. Good afternoon. My name is Mercy Kichengi, program coordinator at Actually International Kenya.
Morning. My name is Mark from Kongamano la Mapinduzi.
Good afternoon. My name is Wanisha Mena. I'm a member of Okoa Uchumi and the team leader at the Hamimad Grassroots Center.
Great. We'll go straight into the statement, and then as we take questions from you, we will then have introductions from your end. Okoa Uchumi statement. Kenya istahili heshima. How dare you, the government leaders that we employed, propose more debt and taxes while we lose most of our past revenue? 4 in every 10 Kenyans are poor, and many more will fall into poverty unless drastic action is taken to spend public resources in what matters and to spend prudently. Their aspiration to live a dignified life are dashed at every turn, with public services continuing to decline, especially in agriculture, education, health, and which are the most critical and enabling sectors. It is against this background that we, the Okoa Uchumi campaign, a coalition of civil society organizations advocating for prudent public finance management, submitted our recommendation on the 2025 budget policy statement and the medium-term debt strategy to the National Treasury and subsequently to the National Assembly and the Senate. We reiterate the message that we delivered to the government in this particular press briefing. These submissions highlighted key concerns concerning the Kenya's growing public debt, fiscal deficit, and lack of transparency in budget formulation. Kenya's fiscal position remains extremely risky, with a fiscal deficit for the coming year 2025 to 2026 projected at a humongous 831 billion, which is said to be 4.3% of the GDP as per the budget policy statement 2025. However, our computation indicates that that deficit could be as high as 5.1. This is due to the fact that the government revenue projections are overly optimistic, as they have always been, increasing the risk of additional borrowing to cover shortfalls. This poses a serious threat to the economic stability and increases the tax burden on already struggling Kenyan citizens and business, and puts our economic recovery at risk. Conversely, and especially this week, the coalition expresses profound concerns over the recent revelations contained in the Auditor General's report and the subsequent report of potential executive interference with the Office of the Auditor General. The findings of the Auditor General's report, released on March 4th, exposed critical deficiencies in the implementation of the Social Health Insurance Fund and the Social Health Authority, SHE and SHA initiatives, and the Hustler Funds, among others. These revelations necessitate urgent and decisive action. We also demand immediate transparency and accountability from Parliament by acting on the findings of the report and sanctioning all ministries, departments, and agencies that are adversely mentioned. We want to point here that the business of Parliament is not to defend government, is to defend we, the taxpayers, who are their ultimate employers. We are deeply concerned that at a time when the Auditor General's office is acting independently and executing the mandate of the office as per the Constitution in bringing to the fore deeply needed scrutiny for all our public finances and various initiatives introduced across various sectors, they are met by attacks by Parliament and even some proposals that we have seen that may affect the independence that is already guaranteed in the Constitution, which we all voted for when the referendum was conducted in 2010. The Auditor General and the Controller of Budget are answerable to the people of Kenya through elected representatives in Parliament, and Parliament must therefore step up its role and take the needed actions to improve fiscal management. It is against this background that we reiterate that our problem in Kenya has never been about revenue, it is about expenditure, which includes budgeted and legislated corruption. We would like to bring to your attention the following areas of concern that we have discovered in the budget policy statement and the medium-term debt strategy 2025. I'll ask my colleagues to come and delve deeper into each of the issues.
So I will proceed from where my colleague has left, just building on the nexus between fiscal deficit and public debt. The national debt to GDP ratio is projected to exceed sustainable levels, reaching 63.6% against a debt anchor of 55%. The budget policy statement for 2025 projects a fiscal deficit of 831 billion Kenya shillings, with 684.2 billion Kenya shillings in domestic borrowing and 146.8 billion Kenya shillings in foreign borrowing. According to the budget policy statement for 2025, the government's increased reliance on domestic borrowing shall be at 82.3% of total borrowing, which poses a further risk of crowding out private sector investment, raising interest rates, and stifling economic growth. This situation encourages banks to prefer investing in government securities, rather facilitating employment creation by lending to private enterprises. We wonder why bank interests are now coming down. Who really benefits from the exorbitantly high interest rates charged by our banks? Domestic borrowing through treasury bills and bonds are currently incurring high interest rates, typically above 8.94%, compared to concessional external loans, which range from 2 to 3%. Domestic loans often have shorter repayment periods of about 1 to 10 years, leading to higher repayment pressure. Additionally, this debt is mainly used for budget support, and senior government officials have admitted that up to 30% of the budget